Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Edgeman Synergy Community guys today with another deck tech. So, today we're taking a look at something a little bit different. So, today we're taking a look at a modern deck. I know you guys are used to me providing a lot of standard decks, but I wanted to show you guys today, and actually I got a lot of requests from people to see this, but it's the modern deck that I'm currently using. So, I don't really want to call it a budget build just because it does have like a few more expensive cards. Like, you're gonna have to spend some money to get the deck. It's not really that expensive to make when you look at the format in a whole, but all in all, I really didn't jump in deep with this deck and the cards that I'm using, and also most of them are actually provided by ebugames.com, so this deck is actually sponsored by them, so be sure to check them out for all of your products and singles and anything that you might need. Their link is going to be down below. But we're going to break this down like we do for any deck, and before we get to that, if you guys have any suggestions for decks that you would like to see in any various formats, please leave it in the comments below and I'll take it into consideration for future deck techs. So, like all of the deck tech videos, first off we are taking a look at the mana base. So, first off here we have Sulfur Falls, so this is going to be a play set in our Pyromancer's Ascension deck here. And our deck is going to be red-blue. So we have 4 of them. We're going to put them down here. Next we have Scalding Tarn. So lets us search for either our mountains or our islands here. I also want to run Misty Rainforests, but I don't have them. If you guys want to put those into this deck, if you have them, they would be a definite good addition here because it lets you weed out the deck from lands. And then we have our basic lands, so not much for non-basic stuff going on. So it's 7 and 7, so we get 3 out of the way here, and then another 4, and same for the mountains, running 7. So pretty tight mana base. We only have 22 lands here, but we don't need a lot of lands to operate the deck. Most of the time we're just trying to stay away from our lands once we get to like 4 lands or something like that. It's somewhere around there. Sometimes it just operates on 3 lands, sometimes it's on 4. It just depends on what your hand ends up looking like and what you play into. But now we're going to be taking a look at the rest of the deck. So we have very little creatures in this deck and a lot of other spells. So first off we have Delver of Secrets. I wanted to run him in this deck just because we do run a lot of instants and sorceries. He flips very easily, and just having a 3 power flyer is really awesome, especially if you can get it off for turn 2 and he flips. Alright, so yeah, play set a Delver. We're actually running 1 Talrand, and this was a new addition with M13 coming out, and I actually got this at the pre-release, but Talrand is pretty awesome. Whenever you get to your 4 drops and then you start using stuff like Noxious Revival or Gitaxian Probe, getting a bunch of tokens is really nice, especially because they're flying. So that's one of the ways where we try to build some presence on our board. So 1 Talrand, just for some fun. Then we have Pyromancer's Ascension, so what this deck basically revolves around. Whenever this gets up to 2 counters and you start doubling up the spells that you're playing, it becomes really, really awesome for the deck. Everything just becomes so much more potent and viable. Being able to double up lightning bolts and other stuff is just way too awesome, especially if you can get another one. And the other Pyromancer's Ascension lets you create another copy. Now we have Faithless Looting, so this is only a 2 of in the deck, and this was more so to weed out lands than it is to draw into stuff, but at the same time you get to draw a decent bit. With Pyromancer's Ascension, it lets you synergize it a little bit because you can get certain spells into your graveyard and then cast the copies from your hand and put a counter on Pyromancer's Ascension. It helps out with that. But the main thing is trying to get out lands from your hand that you don't really need and just draw a little bit more. It also has a flashback for 3, which we don't use a lot, but If we have to, if it's a certain situation where we need to flash it back and draw more, we can do it. Then we have Serum Visions, so draw a card and scry 2 for 1 blue. So lets us draw a little bit more and rearrange things. See what we like, put it on the bottom of our deck, or just keep it on the top. Gitaxian Probe, so 1 blue Phyrexian mana, and look at your opponent's hand, or target player's hand, and you get to draw a card. So it's always nice to see what your opponent has. You can write stuff down, take some notes on what they have, cross it out whenever they play it, and also being able to draw a card is pretty awesome off of it, just because if you Pyromancer's Ascension, it's not going to be relevant to look at your opponent's hand, but it is going to be relevant because you can essentially pay 2 life and draw 2 cards if you're doubling it up. But Gitaxian Probe is always awesome to take a look at what your opponent has and plan accordingly to what you're going to be doing. We have Sleight of Hand, so 1 blue, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand, and the other goes to the bottom of your library. So it's a little bit more risky because you don't get to keep both of the cards, but at the same time, if it's like a land and a spell that you need, it's definitely worth it to play this card. And again, if you can double it up, it's all the better for you. Manamorphose, one of the most amazing things to probably cast whenever it comes to Pyromancer's Ascension. Whenever it has both of its counters on, and you can double this up. So you pay 2 mana for it, and you get to add 2 mana of any color combination to your mana pool, and then you get the draw card. So if you're able to double this up, you can essentially pay 2 mana into it, put out 4 mana of any color that you need. So it's a nice way to get a lot of mana and do a lot more things and build up Storm for Grapeshot, which is one of the awesome things about this deck. But Manamorphose is just an amazing card to have the double up. It's probably my favorite card in this deck to double up. Alright, so there's that. We're running Remand to counter things and put them back into our opponent's hand. And we get to draw a card off of it as well. It's actually happened in a lot of situations where I'll play something and I have a lot of mana off of Manamorphose and I'm just trying to build up more storms, so I'll actually counter it with Remand. And even if it creates a copy, like I'll play Remand, it creates a copy, and the first Remand will be canceling out 1 card that I'm playing, and then the second Remand will be countering my first Remand, so I'll chain it like that. But there's a lot of different ways that you can play around this card. Obviously, it can counter your opponent's stuff, but I've used it in more kind of unique situations to draw cards and build up Storm whenever I have a lot of mana. But Remand is definitely an amazing card to play with in Modern. So there's that. Then we have Lightning Bolt. So I have my premium foil ones from the Fire and Lightning, and then just 1 regular one. But deals 3 damage to target player or creature, and we have the opportunity to double that up or possibly even triple it up with Pyromancer's Ascension if we can kind of work it out to have enough of them in the grave and just kind of work with it. But Lightning Bolt's definitely really good. Definitely really awesome for Bird, and we're going to put that up here. We have Grapeshot. So Grapeshot is just a 1-of in the deck. So we build up our Storm and we can hopefully crack it for a ridiculous amount of damage. I can't really think of the most I've ever done with it, but it's usually around like 9 or 10 if I'm chaining Manamorphose and if I'm able to play Noxious Revival, which we run as a 2-of in the deck, which is the next card. But I've done a lot of different things where I'll have a lot of cards in hand and I'll be able to keep on casting Manamorphose, drawing more cards, Noxious Revival, have another draw spell off of it, play more Manamorphose. It's not really like it creates an infinite loop, but it can definitely chain it enough times where Grapeshot is going to be relevant enough to deal a good bit of damage. And then Pyromancer's Ascension will create another copy of Grapeshot, which is always cool. So that'll be another way to just deal that one measly extra damage, which could mean the game. But one Grapeshot and two Noxious Revival to get back the spells that we need. Oftentimes it's Manamorphose to keep on chaining into more mana. But it just kind of goes with whatever we need. If it means taking a Lightning Bolt and copying it up, that's what we're going to go for. But when the situation presents itself, you kind of know what you're going to be taking. But that is pretty much the deck in whole. So let me know what you guys think. What suggestions that you may have, because Modern is a pretty broad format, and I don't know, things are kind of always ever changing for this deck and what I like to run. But there's going to be a list of sideboard suggestions and stuff that I like to run for the sideboard, and you guys can check that out in the description below, as well as the deck list for this deck for you guys that actually want to run this and try it out for yourself. It's definitely a really fun deck, something that'll really kind of irritate some people, just because it does a lot of things per turn, and your opponent's just going to be sitting there for a while. But it's definitely probably one of my more favorite decks to play for Modern. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel, and show some support. And I'm going to be bringing you guys more Magic the Gathering videos daily, so be sure to check that out and be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day.